The rain hammered against the corrugated iron roof of my office, a relentless percussion accompanying the throbbing ache behind my eyes. Cigarette smoke hung thick in the air, a hazy curtain between me and a neon glow bleeding in from the street. My name's Jack Rourke, and I'm a private investigator. Some folks call me a snoop, others a lifesaver. Depends on who's paying. The door creaked open, revealing a woman who could stop a bank robbery just by walking in. Emerald eyes, raven hair piled high, a dress the color of a bruised plum. She reeked of money and trouble, the kind I couldn't afford. Mr. Rourke. Her voice was smooth, like aged whiskey. And Vivian Sterling. Mrs. Sterling, I corrected, gesturing to the uncomfortable chair opposite my desk. Your husband isn't here. I wasn't speaking of my husband, she said, her gaze unwavering. I need your help, Mr. Rourke. My sister, Lila, has disappeared. Lila Sterling. The name pricked a memory. A singer. Lila had a voice that could melt glaciers. She's been the darling of the Blue Moon nightclub for the past few years. Where did she disappear? 3 days ago. She missed her performance. Said she wasn't feeling well, but she never misses the show. Never. Lila's disappearance wasn't just a missing persons case, it was a scream for help. The Blue Moon wasn't just a nightclub, it was a den of secrets and a breeding ground for corruption. I'm already paying the police, Mr. Rourke, but they aren't taking it seriously. They say she's probably just run off with some fella. They don't understand. Vivian laid a thick wad of bills on my desk, enough to buy a small island, maybe a few islands. I want you to find her, Mr. Rourke, and I want the truth, no matter how ugly. The truth was usually ugly. It was also usually expensive. My investigation began at the Blue Moon. The place throbbed with a frenetic energy. Smoke curled into the dim lighting, and the music pulsated with a desperate rhythm. I spoke with the owner, a hulking man named Benny the Hammer Morty. He looked like he could crush a man with one hand. Lila, nice girl, little quiet, probably just needed a break, Benny said, wiping his greasy hands on a napkin. I didn't believe him. Benny Morty was a spider in a web, and Lila was one of his flies. I moved on to the stagey hands, the bartenders, the other performers. Each one offered a piece of the puzzle. Lila had been seeing someone, a man no one seemed to know, a man who's been around for around a month. The trail led me to a shadowy district on the docks, to a warehouse that reeked of salt and desperation. Inside, I found a poker game in progress. High stakes, low morals. A familiar face sat at the head of the table of Victor Martel, a known associate of the notorious gangster, Sal Demarco. Martel was a shark in a suit, his eyes like chips of ice. He spotted me, and his smile tightened. Rourke, what a surprise. Looking for someone? Lila Sterling, I said. Martel laughed. Never heard of her. I didn't buy it. The air crackled with tension. This was more than just a poker game, it was a cover for something bigger, something dangerous. Suddenly a voice cut through the room. Victor, darling, you're losing. A woman emerged from the shadows. Tall, elegant, with eyes that held a world of secrets. It was Serena Bellweather, the nightclub singer known for her haunting voice and her connections to the underworld. Serena, Martel said, his voice laced with annoyance. Must you always interrupt? Serena ignored him, her gaze fixed on me. You're looking for Lila Sterling, aren't you, Mr. Rourke? I nodded, my hand instinctively moving toward my holster. She's with Demarco, Serena said, her voice low. He's using her. She's sending for him, gathering information. About Vivian. Vivian Sterling, Lila's sister. This had just become a whole lot more complicated. Demarco was playing Vivian, using Lila to get to her. But why? Vivian was wealthy, influential. What could Demarco possibly want from her? I tracked Demarco to a lavish penthouse overlooking the city. The place was a monument to excess, all gleaming marble and expensive art. Demarco was on the balcony, admiring the view. Rourke, he said, turning around, a predatory smile on his face. Always sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Lila Sterling, I said, my voice hard. She's a valuable asset, Demarco said, gesturing towards a room behind him. She knows things that are important. I pushed past him, entering the room. There she was, Lila Sterling, tied to a chair, her face bruised and swollen. Mr. Rourke, she whispered, her voice hoarse. Get me out of here. I moved to untie her, but Demarco stepped in front of me. You shouldn't have come here, Rourke. This doesn't concern you. A brief struggle ensued. A few punches thrown, the chair overturned. But it was short-lived. Demarco's men were too many, too well armed. They subdued me, throwing me against the wall. You're a persistent one, Rourke, Demarco said, his voice dripping with menace. But you're also naive. Vivian Sterling is connected to a series of illegal arms deals. Her father was a major player years ago, and she's trying to revive his legacy. Lila had been gathering information about Vivian's plans. Demarco was trying to leverage that information to extort Vivian, to control her operations. "I won't let you hurt her," I said, my voice strained. Demarco laughed. "You think you can stop me? You're just one man." Suddenly, the penthouse door burst open. Serena Bellweather stood in the doorway, a pistol in her hand. "Don't move, Demarco," she said, her voice cold and steady. Demarco's men froze, their eyes darting between Demarco and Serena. A tense standoff followed. "What are you doing here, Serena?" Demarco demanded, his voice tight with fury. "Taking care of unfinished business," she replied, her finger tightening on the trigger. "Your little operation ends here, Sal." A shock rang out, followed by a chaotic flurry of gunfire. The penthouse erupted in a maelstrom of violence. I managed to break free from my restraints and join the fray, using my wits and my fists to fend off Demarco's men. When the smoke cleared, Demarco was down, a bullet hole in his chest. Serena stood over him, her pistol still smoking. "It's over," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "I freed Lila, and we helped each other out of the penthouse, leaving the mess behind us." Serena vanished into the night, a ghost in the shadows. Back at my office, Vivian Sterling waited, her face etched with anxiety. "Is she safe?" she asked, her voice trembling. "She's safe now," I replied. "Demarco's operation is finished." Vivian handed me another wad of bills, more than enough to keep me afloat for a while. "Thank you, Mr. Rourke," she said, her eyes filled with gratitude. As she walked out the door, I lit another cigarette, staring out at the rain-soaked city. The case was closed, but the shadows lingered. Serena Bellweather, a woman of mystery, a force to be reckoned with. I had a feeling I hadn't seen the last of her. The rain continued to hammer against the corrugated iron roof, a constant reminder of the darkness that lay beneath the glittering facade of the city, and I knew deep down that there were always more cases waiting, more secrets to uncover, more shadows to fight.